Well, Brittany is here. Brittany, anything you want to dispel for folks? I've seen a lot of things on social media.
First things first is that the triad, remember, is north of us, so it's not including Charlotte. So they have a better chance of seeing some snow, but for us, it's the mountains especially. Right. And I know this is sad news for snow lovers, but no snow in Charlotte. So just want to be totally clear about that before people start asking tomorrow, where's the snow?
They're gonna ask.
And you guys don't bother Brad. He's at a conference this weekend, so he doesn't need to be bothered by all of that mess. But you can, I guess, bother me about it. Here's a live picture here from Blowing Rock right now. This is from our resort cams. Just like what we saw in Boone a little bit ago, the roadways are wet, which does show that at some point over the last few hours, they've seen areas of light rain. But so far, the active snow that we're seeing trying to fall from the clouds has not yet done so. In fact, we've actually seen more light rain making it down to the ground in the Piedmont, and that's largely because the dew points here are saturating up a lot quicker here locally. But notice that temperature 46. I mean, I saw rain on my dinner break as well. I got a few messages about this already. That's just light rain, folks. Very, very typical when the air temperature is in the mid 40s. So here's the current satellite and radar. Again, you can see all of the green, that's light rain, but we're starting to see some hints of blue and some pink there up toward the mountains. Again, that is active snow that's falling from the clouds, but as I just showed you, not actively reaching the ground at this hour. Now, some of these spots that we're seeing dew points, again, in the lower 40s, upper 30s, they're more likely to see this light rain reaching the ground right now. So you can see that we're saturating again. These are the dew points, a measure of moisture in the atmosphere way faster than the mountain. So they're still going to see snow. It just might take a little bit longer for them to see the moisture pick up. And this is actually relatively common when we have dry air intrusion to see areas of light rain and even a little bit of sleet mixing in early before the main event arrives. But winter weather impacts are going to be minimal across the Charlotte area, if anything at all. Again, we're looking at a cold rain, widespread cloud cover, but it's I-40. That is the dividing line. There's jokes across the Carolinas all the time that I-40 and I-85 were developed to be dividing lines for meteorologists to talk about snow or lack thereof here in the Carolinas. And at least with this system, it's pretty accurate. So areas north of I-40 have the chance to see any kind of accumulation closer to places like Alexander County, northern Catawba. It's going to be minimal, a trace to a half of an inch. But notice these areas shaded in yellow, highest elevation spots could certainly see closer to 1 to 2 once all is said and done. So as I were talking about earlier, was the dry air was a big issue as to why we weren't expecting snow in Charlotte, because that dry air does prevent moisture from developing. But the second reason was an earlier arrival of the storm system. Notice the timing has been bumped up by at least 2 to 3 hours from yesterday. And the reason why that's a big deal is we're seeing moisture already. The moisture's here, but the cold air isn't. And what happens when you get that is that the moisture essentially overruns the cold air and we stay warm, which is exactly what we're seeing right now. So that is the issue across the Piedmont. Is a very common question, even getting at school talks, is why do we almost never get snow in Charlotte? Well, it's almost always too cold and dry or too warm and wet. It's hard to get those things at the same time. And this is just a classic setup of that. Of course, the mountains not going to be dealing with that, but they will see a little bit of sleet mixing in with a lot of snow heading into tomorrow morning. So here's kind of the dividing line. Again, we'll see a little bit of snow mixing in with cold rain for the I-40 corridor. South of that, it's cold rain. North of that, it's just straight snow. So here's the next few hours. I did bump this up a few hours in accordance to what we're seeing right now, but you can still see widespread light rain in Charlotte. Here's 2 a.m. areas of snow, a little bit of sleet mixing in for the mountains. But notice it's not going to last all day. In fact, look at this. 5 a.m. we're already starting to see the light rain starting to taper off, and that will continue off and on until about 8. But I think 8 to lunchtime, that's when we'll start to see that rain start to filter out pretty quickly. But notice the temperature is still in the upper 30s and lower 40s. So even once the rain has wrapped up, it is still going to be an extremely, extremely chilly, gross, raw day. Not too many adjectives to say how gross it's going to be tomorrow, but they kind of all mean the same. Here's your Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. So weather impact alert mainly for the mountains and foothills due to that snow and sleet mix in mainly early in the day. We'll watch the mountain highest elevations for a refreeze potential Friday night into Saturday morning. But here in Charlotte, once the cold rain is over, we have no more weather related issues, at least until our next chance of rain, which doesn't look to come anytime soon.